Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Carissa and I hope that you are having a marvelous day. Today in this video, we are going to talk about the 6 bank accounts that you need. I have played around with different financial systems for the past few years, and I have figured out a system that works for me that helps me to keep all of my money organized and in different places and allows me to designate a purpose for each dollar that I have in every single account. When your money is not organized into specific accounts, it is much easier to just dip into the account where all of the money is jumbled up and spend money that wasn't designated for that specific purpose. When I have my money designated into all of these different accounts with specific purposes, I can definitely always spend that money if I need to, but it helps me to take a step back and reflect and think through, do I really actually want to spend that money for that specific thing from that account? So for example, if I want to take a ski trip with some friends, I definitely can do that, but I might realize that in order to take that ski trip, I would have to dip into my travel account. Since I'm planning a trip to Argentina this year, I would have to decide, do I want to take that money out of the account and spend it on the ski trip? Or do I need to save that money because I do need it for Argentina? So ultimately, having the money in these different accounts allows me to make decisions and better choices about my money because I've already thought about what I want the purpose of that money to be or what I want to use that money for, and then I get to make some choices from there. Please keep in mind, it did take me a while to get all of these accounts set up, and at this point in time, not all of my accounts are even fully funded. So these 6 accounts might take some time to get fully funded and to get set up, but it's important that you start learning healthy money habits when the stakes are a little bit lower, when you have a little bit less money, so that when your income does increase, you will know how to manage that money effectively. As I talk through this video today, I am not a financial expert or anything like that. I am just talking through what has worked for me. It is important to think through your specific situation as well. I personally am a 20-something single person living in Colorado, and so all of my decisions and all of the things that I'm sharing come through that lens. Your financial situation might be a little bit different depending on where you are and what your situation is, so it's important to keep all of those factors in mind as you are considering what I am sharing and as you are setting up your own personal financial system. I am just sharing what works for me. Take what you like and leave what you don't so that you can set up a financial system that works for you, that's personal to you, and that will help you to live your richest life. Without further ado, let's dive into the 6 accounts that I use. The first account that I have is a checking account. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Most people have a checking account or know of checking accounts. This account is the account where any salary or any payments that I receive are paid into. I see this account a little bit like an email inbox. All of the emails come in, and then if you have a really organized system, you will later file those emails into different folders. Similar to my checking account, all of the money comes into this one checking account, and then from there, I'm able to sort it out into different accounts for different purposes. Not too much to say about this account. The next 3 accounts that I'm going to talk through are savings accounts. The second account that I have is an emergency savings account. This emergency savings account is only used when I need to spend money because something unexpected and probably bad has happened. Things like I just blew out a tire, or my dog needs to have an unexpected surgery, or I dropped my laptop and I need it for class, and so I need to get a new one now. I don't necessarily have time to save for these things, but they are an expense that I need to pay for right away. Dave Ramsey, a financial expert, recommends that while you are paying down debt, you have just $1,000 in your emergency savings account. So that is where I'm at right now because I'm still paying off some debt. Most financial experts recommend that you keep 3 to 6 months of your necessary expenses in an emergency savings account. Once I am done paying down the debt on my car, I will start saving for that 3 to 6 months buffer in my emergency savings account. I personally keep my emergency savings account in an online savings account. This makes the money a little bit harder for me to access just on the daily, but I'm still able to get to it in an emergency. Having an emergency savings account really helps my peace of mind. I have noticed that I have way less emergencies now that I have that emergency account in place with that extra money should I need it. I find that I don't often use it because I'm able to think through all of the possible expenditures I would have, and things that I used to consider emergencies are no longer emergencies, and I'm already saving money for them. The third account that I have is a health savings account, or an HSA. This is an account where you can put aside tax-free money to be able to later use for medical expenses. So for me, I have a certain percentage that's just deducted from my paycheck every single month and set aside into that health savings account. My health savings account has a debit card that is linked to it that is specific for this health savings account. And so I'm able to use that debit card for different medical purchases, things like co-pays or prescriptions or a visit to urgent care or a surgery, or I could pay to get new glasses, or even an acupuncture visit. Anything that is a qualified medical expense, you can use this account for. This account is really cool because you do get to put in money tax-free, and so it's an opportunity to save some money that way. The HSA that I have rolls over month to month, but there are certain HSAs that are use it or lose it. So if you do not use them by the end of the month, that money goes away and you no longer have access to it. The healthcare industry is constantly changing, so I really encourage you to do your research before you open a health savings account to make sure that you know all of the fine print and what you can use that account for and whether or not it rolls over. A health savings account is really cool and has been really helpful for me because I'm able to further designate that emergency savings account for different expenses. Because I have this health savings account that's separate from my emergency savings account, I'm able to pay for those medical expenses out of a different place. So again, it reduces the number of emergencies that I have. I find that it's super great to end up at the optometrist and need glasses or new contacts and just be able to open my account, see how much money is there, and just be able to pay for it with that health savings account. This money is really out of sight and out of mind because it pulls automatically out of my paycheck and I never see that money until I need to use it. The fourth account I want to talk about is short and long-term savings accounts. So this account is used for expenses that you can anticipate will happen in the future. Things like buying a house or needing an oil change or taking your dog to the vet or even getting a haircut. Expenses that you can predict will happen in the future. Some of these expenses may be shorter term things that are coming up in the next couple months, things like getting a haircut or buying your sister a birthday gift or taking your dog to the vet or getting an oil change. All of those things you can anticipate will happen in the future, but may not happen every single month. So I set aside money every single month for those things so that by the time I need to pay for that thing, I have that money already sitting in a savings account waiting for it to be spent. The other savings accounts that I have here are more long-term savings accounts. I have a travel savings account or a house savings account or even a wedding savings account. These are things that I can anticipate I might want to spend money on in the future, but I don't necessarily have a plan for just yet. I think that it's going to be really helpful when I am ready to buy a house or I do want to get married to have this money already set aside for those particular purposes. And if I'm 45 and I haven't gotten married yet, I will just spend that money on a very bougie honeymoon for one. So while I am lumping together short and long-term savings in one group, I should note that I do have several different accounts in this area. I have about 10 different accounts for different expenses that I can anticipate coming up that I want to save for. If you're just starting out and this seems a little bit overwhelming, there is no need to have 10 accounts just yet. Just pick one thing that's a short or long-term savings goal that you want to save for and start with that one account. So in our last video, we talked a little bit about what it looks like to live your richest life. This is a good opportunity to reflect back on those richest life values because as you are setting some short and long-term savings goals, it is important to consider what constitutes a rich life for you and where your priorities lie. You may not be able to save for everything that's on your wish list right now, so reflect back on those priorities and set accounts or choose accounts that are aligned with your richest life list and your financial priorities. The fifth account that I will mention is a retirement account. It is very important that regardless of your age, you have a retirement account and that you are contributing to it regularly. If you are employed in the United States, you probably have access to a 401k through your employer. This account is a retirement account that is very cool because oftentimes employers will offer you a match for the money that you put into that account. This is really free money, people. If you have not set up your 401k and your employer offers a match, please do so that you can take advantage of that free money. The other account that I might recommend, especially if your employer does not offer a match through a 401k or if you are self-employed, would be an IRA. An IRA is another tax-advantaged retirement account. I personally have both a 401k account and an IRA account, and I would encourage you to look into both. If you do not happen to live in the United States, make sure that you do your research to figure out what options are available in your country. I think as a 20-something, it can be very easy to assume that you do not need to worry about retirement right now, that is something that will happen further down the line, or that the earth will go up in flame before you even get to retirement age, but you really don't know. And the reality is that most of us will probably get old, so you need to start saving for retirement now. The magic in investment accounts is really in time. The younger you are when you start, the more time you have to grow that money. So even if you're only contributing $5 or $10 or $50 a month, the sooner you contribute, the longer that money will have to grow exponentially in that investment account. Please take ownership of your retirement account so that you are able to retire on time and live fully even as you age. The sixth and final account that I'm going to be talking about today is a guilt-free spending account. This is one of my favorites to talk about. I have a separate account that's completely separate from all of these other accounts that I have mentioned that is just for spending. For me, I'm a very frugal person. Sometimes I struggle to spend money, and so it is really important for me that as I am setting aside all of this money for all these different purposes, that I don't get burned out on saving and forget what it's like to spend. So for me, I have a debit card that is completely separate from all of my other accounts that I use just for spending. This account has a certain amount of money on it each month, and then I get the opportunity to spend that on whatever I want to spend it on. If I want to buy a coffee, I buy a coffee. If I want a new pair of jeans, I go buy a new pair of jeans. If I want to grab drinks with a friend, I grab drinks with a friend. Or if I want to get a massage at the end of a hard week, I get a massage. The point is not to figure out exactly what this account is for. The point is to have an account where you can spend some money guilt-free. It is very important that you keep this money separate in some sort of way. As I mentioned, I keep this money on a separate debit account that isn't connected to my checking account in any sort of way or any of my other accounts in any sort of way. Or you could keep just an envelope of money that's set aside for the month. This money should be separate so that when it's gone, it's gone. This money should be easily tracked, not necessarily so that you know exactly what you spent the money on, but so that you can monitor exactly how much money is left. I can remember times where I've been invited out to drinks with friends and I check my account and I realize, okay, you got $12 in the account. So you can go out and you can have one drink and tip, but that will be all. And you need to be really willing to stick to that so that you can meet your other financial goals. Keep that money separate so you don't have to feel guilty about spending it, but so that you know when you have to stop. Well, that's all. Those are all 6 of my accounts. Technically, it's more like 15 if you think about all the short and long-term savings accounts, but those are the 6 types of accounts that I keep in my financial system. One of my favorite things to talk about is automation, but before we can talk about automating all of these different systems to make your money work for you, we needed to talk through the basics of these 6 accounts. So 6 to 15 accounts might seem like a ton of accounts. I know, it took me a little bit of time to set up. So start small. Pick one account that you would like to have in your financial plan this week and go ahead and set it up. And remember, it's really never about how much you contribute. It's about setting those habits for financial success in the future. Start while the stakes are low so that once your income is greater, you know how to effectively manage your money. So that is all I have for today. I'm excited that we got to talk through these 6 different types of accounts that I have so that in future videos we can talk about automation and making all of your money work together beautifully so that it does what it's supposed to do on its own without you worrying too much about it. I can't wait to talk about automation in the next couple videos. So if you're interested in following along, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you're able to catch each of my videos. I post new videos each week. I will see you in the next one for more financial and money tips.